I'll start. Hi, everyone. I'm here at the Lean in Pakistan headquarters, the Barak Center, with the incredible Nilofer Lalani, who is in real estate and is part of our Lean in Pakistan real estate circle. So first we'll begin by Nilofer. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate?
Okay. My life journey actually begins at a very early age. And about myself, I started my career in travel and aviation industry. And the first year it was a travel agency way back in 30 plus years. And then I got an opportunity in Dubai. So I worked for PIA there for a year or so, and then I moved to Air France as a ground staff and operations staff at Dubai Airport, and lived there for 11 years of my life. And I moved to US after that for about 2 years. Actually, I wanted to settle there, but life is very different in the West. So I lived there for a while with the family is there, and I moved back to Pakistan way back in 90s, and had the difficult to find a job, but eventually God has been kind and got a job in Emirates Airline. And I served Emirates for almost 12 years, over a decade, and worked in every aspect of the business, which comes to events, marketing, sales, pricing, reservations, ticketing, call center, and you name it. And I had the opportunity to travel all over Pakistan and attend world conferences in Dubai and other places. Eventually, moved to Malaysian Airlines and then off to the Aga Khan University as a head of travel. That was the journey of my aviation. Right now, in the last, when the COVID started, I thought of doing something different, and I took up a training in real estate, and I found that it's an interesting field. And so I studied real estate and then got into practically moving into doing property business, rental, buying, selling, whatever, and the opportunity to work for, sell Emaar properties, and that was my first one, which was a penthouse for over 200 million. So I sold that, and that motivated me, and I felt that I fit into this field, and this could be my now final career in a way. And I enjoy doing it because you get an opportunity to meet people not only within the country but overseas as well, and you understand and help them out to find the right place that they require as far as the property is concerned, and assist them in many documentation and other things. You also get an opportunity to meet many other people that are in the real estate, and mainly they are men. So there's the ratio is like 10% women. But I enjoy it because I think I have earned respect, and I also encourage other women to do it. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's one of the best, actually, but not the best. But yes, it's a great field to be in. This is the story of my work business, and so now I've set up the.
It's a fabulous story, Nilofer. And you mentioned as part of your journey, you also worked
close to Emaar, and
you also mentioned as part of your journey you worked at Emirates. Now, Emirates has a very strong system-oriented and branding-oriented approach, where there's a lot of protocols, SOPs, systems, which must be a very different approach than running your own real estate company. So if you could talk about a little bit about the difference
again,
between
the sound is cutting, but I'm sure you'll have edited later.
So were you able to hear that, Nilofer?
Right.
Can you hear me?
Again, I think working for any good course time, bit better, but I think there's.
So I'm asking if you could talk about the difference between working in a very strong SOP environment of Emirates and working with being your own boss in real estate? There must be a very different dynamic of the two. If you could share a little bit about those experiences.
Yes, it is certainly different dynamics altogether.
And if you
However,
could compare
handling people has been not very difficult. I get along with all nationalities. In a very diverse, pluralistic environment, from dealing with French, the uh, uh, mittens. So I, coming from that background, gave me to deal, even though you meet different kinds of clients, but for me it hasn't been difficult far as it is concerned. Just that the first few months, yes, do a different work. It's not a corporate like Emirates and other major airlines that I had the opportunity. Once with passion to do things, you can make it. Your positivity and your way of working is also to move forward. So as far as I'm motivated and I'm passionate about joy, and it's just a very different you, and I love it. It's a great feeling about being in this space.
And you had gone through a lot of trainings and you were
The
certified.
SOPs are continued. We follow SOPs that has been designed and the aspect professionally and yeah.
So I was saying you'd
Can you
gone
hear
through
me?
formal training to do real estate. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to be formally trained, to be certified, how you went through the process, how you knew you wanted to take on this new challenge, and why it was important for you to be educated in the process and lean into that moment?
Okay. Okay. I feel that the challenge is in the field. That where your own field you have, how you look at those challenges and take it instead of going and think about it and not dealing with it. But if you look up and say, okay, fine, this is a challenge, but have to be taken in a right manner, and that brings a lot of opportunity, and then the doors, and obviously the reference certainly works, because if you deal with customers and one has positive, good feeling about you and you've dealt right, you get more customers. And I think this is how you grow your business. My idea and my thought is to be a developer eventually, even though that's another challenge. But that's where I would like to see myself in a time to come, because I'm still need a little more time to get into and put my feet on the ground. Again, the environment, the challenges of the country, the economic situation, a lot of other things are affecting our business, especially. However, my passion for this work and moving forward will not stop, as I see.
Well, Nilofer, it is a very, very important.
Any other?
Yeah, it's very important that you had the courage and you leaned into that moment to make the change. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your journey? Is there anything else you'd like to share about your journey, Nilofer?
I think
Thank
your
you.
voice is
No
A
problem. Thank you
bit,
so
but
much for being on today. It's been a pleasure having you.
what you're trying
Thank
to
you so
ask
much,
is
Nilüfer.